Hi friends, today I'm going to read Danza, Amelia Hernandez and El Ballet Folclórico de Mexico by Duncan Tonetta. And I want to start by saying that I don't speak Spanish and I'm sorry if I mess up on the words. I'm doing my best. So we just keep reading even if we mess up. May even have a self-correction or two. Amalia Hernandez was born in Mexico City in 1917, and everyone assumed she would grow up to be a schoolteacher like her mother and her grandmother. Even Ami, as everyone called her, expected that. But one afternoon, while her family was on vacation, Ami saw a pair of dancers in a town square. They stomped and swayed to the live music. The danzas that they performed had been danced by people of that area for generations. Ami was hooked. She made a decision. She was going to become a dancer herself. Ami twirled in the living room and whirled in the kitchen. "Amalia!" scolded her father, a stern military man. But her mother encouraged Ami's interest in the arts, and one day her father gave in. He had a studio built in their home and hired the best dance teachers he could find. After school, Ami studied ballet with Madame d'Ambray, who had danced with the Paris Opera, and with Professor Zebin, who had danced with Pavlova's world-renowned Russian ballet. Ami worked on her technique and made sure that she always pointed her feet. She perfected the different structured positions and became an accomplished ballerina. Here she is in first position, fifth position, arabesque, pirouette, grand battement. In 1939, two dancers from the United States visited Mexico City, where Ami lived. They performed a new style of dance called modern. Amalia was deeply impressed. The movements were expressive, and they could be jarring when compared to the delicate movements of ballet. Ami met Waldine, one of the modern dancers, and began to study with her. She also continued to practice ballet. Ami was very talented and disciplined. In time, she became a dance teacher and choreographer herself. A choreographer is a person who creates dance steps and arranges them together to create new dance pieces. In 1952, after rehearsing for months, Ami and other dancers gave a performance. They presented many different dances, but the one the audience clapped for the most was a piece called Sones de Micocaine. Ami was the choreographer, and the dance was similar to the regional danza that she had seen in the town square when she was a little girl. Ami had an idea. She decided that she would create ballets based on the folkloric danzas from the different regions of Mexico. She was so excited that she formed her own company with 7 other dancers. Ami began to travel to villages all around the country to learn as much as she could about the area's traditional dances. She read about the history of each place and talked with the elders. When possible, she participated in the dances herself. She paid special attention to the steps, the music, and the outfits that people wore. After returning home, Ami would go to the dance studio. The danzas y ballets she saw in the villages were for ceremonial purposes, like celebrating a patron saint or hoping for a good harvest. Other times, the dances happened so that people could have fun and meet new friends. However, the dance pieces Ami was creating, the, da- the dance pieces Ami, however, the dance pieces Ami was creating were meant to be performances for audiences to watch in a theater. Ami used her skills as a choreographer and her knowledge of both ballet and modern dance to make the pieces innovative and beautiful. She made sure the dancers wore dazzling costumes and that there was dramatic lighting and spectacular backdrops. I don't know if you can quite see in this picture, but you're moving so fast that the art is blurred. The prop that they're holding. Audiences loved the folkloric ballets, and Amelia's dance company quickly became very famous. In 1954, they performed on the Función de Gala television show. They danced on the show every week for more than 60 weeks. The company grew to include 20 dancers and then 50. The company's repertoire, or stock of dances, included ballets based on Mestizo ballets like the Sones Yarocos from Veracruz. Mestizo is a combination of Amerindian, European, and African traditions. In this ballet, musicians dressed in white and played the harp and guitars as the dancers stomped on a tarima. The company's repertoire also included ballets based on indigenous dances, like La Danza del Venado from the Yaqui people in the Sonoran Desert, and Los Quetzales from the Nahuanes and Totonaco people in the Valley of Mexico. Some of the company's ballets were not based on traditional dances, but were original pieces inspired by Mexico's pre-Columbian past. Ami wanted to celebrate the history of her country. She looked at the sculptures and the art that the ancient civilizations like the Aztec and the Maya had created. She conceived dance steps for ballets like La Gran Tenochtitlan based on that art. Some ballets were inspired by more recent history and by music like the polka and the waltz, which were popular with the wealthy in the 19th century, or by corridos, which were popular with the poor at the beginning of the 20th century. Ami would often dance as Juana Gallo, a fierce female soldier at the time. The company became a great success, not only in Mexico, but abroad too. In 1959, the Mexican government asked it to represent Mexico in the Pan American Games. These games are similar to the Olympics, but only athletes from the Americas compete. It was a great honor to be part of such an important event. That year, Ami decided to call the company El Ballet Folclórico de México, Mexico's folkloric ballet. The company became truly international in 1961 when it won the first prize at the prestigious Festival of Nations in Paris. Famous ballets and important dance troupes from all over the world competed at the event. After the folkloric ballet won, it was invited to tour Europe. Later on, it visited Japan and Australia. The dancers even performed next to the Great Sphinx in Egypt. To be touring the world was exciting for Ami, but it was not so simple to arrange. The company needed transportation for 50 or so dancers, musicians, and sound and lighting technicians, and more than 3 tons of costumes. Ami decided to stop dancing so she could focus on choreography and directing the company. She was like a general, much like her military father, supervising different people involved in the folkloric ballet and making sure the shows came out perfectly. Ami had to create 2 groups, one to travel around the world and one to offer performances in Mexico. In 1968, Ami opened a dance school. Her brother, who was an architect, designed the building, which housed studios and classrooms. At the school, students could learn folkloric dance and also ballet and modern dance. Often, the dancers who studied at the school became professionals in Amalia's company. As the years passed, Ami continued teaching and supervising the folkloric ballet rehearsals. She had become a school teacher after all, like her mother and grandmother. Amalia Hernandez passed away on November 5th, 2000. But her legacy lives on. El Ballet Folclórico de México performs every Wednesday and Saturday at the Palacio de Bellas Artes, the Palace of Fine Arts, in Mexico City. They have been doing so without interruption for more than 50 years. The company also continues to tour internationally. Today, there are thousands of Mexican folkloric dance groups, both professional and amateur, in Mexico and the United States. Perhaps you've seen one perform at your school or in your neighborhood for Cinco de Mayo. Maybe you've even dressed as a charro and danced El Jaribe Tapito. I know I have. I haven't. The author has. Ami inspired generations of dancers to perform these dances. She made the folkloric dances of Mexico known around the world, and she encouraged people of Mexican origin to feel pride in their roots and in their traditional dances. The end. And because this is a nonfiction book, it has the author's note and a glossary so you can look up all of the terms in the back, and a bibliography that sorts all of its sources, cites all of its sources. Thank you for taking the time to spend with me, and I hope you always remember to dance and have pride in your culture.